joined by Clifford D. May. He's the founder and president of the FDD, that's the Foundation for Defence of Democracy. Delighted to have you with us, Clifford. Welcome to the programme. President Trump, he managed, didn't he, to secure phase one. He brought home all of the living hostages, a remarkable achievement that will be remembered for the ages here in Israel. Phase two, though, is something different, isn't it? It is shaping up to be extremely complex with multiple players. Are you confident that we are on the right track?
Well, first of all, let me say that phase one is not over yet. All of the hostages, including those who were murdered, need to be returned. And then there needs to be, for what we're talking about, phase two, which I would say is the least bad option we have in front of us right now. There needs to be stabilization. There needs to be the surrender of weapons by Hamas. There needs to be an end to the threat of terrorism by Hamas. I think phase two is going to be very challenging. We're not there yet. And one of the things that is absolutely necessary is for, I think, President Trump to continue to pressure, particularly the Qataris and the Turks, who have influence with Hamas more than anybody else, to go along with this plan. They need to say, you don't have a choice anymore. We can't support you doing anything else. And if you continue to shoot at Israelis, for example, if you continue to execute summarily Palestinians in the street and film it in order to intimidate others and show that you're in control, we can't be responsible for the consequences, which could include the Israelis being given a green light by President Trump to go back into the Hamas-controlled areas and begin to, again, eliminate Hamas as best they can.
And, of course, the moderate Arab countries are supposed to play a big role in President Trump's plan going forward. However, we are increasingly seeing that they're unwilling to invest in Gaza or take part in any kind of security force until Hamas is completely disarmed. We just heard from Jordan's King Abdullah. He gave an interview to the BBC and he said no country will be willing to deploy forces in Gaza to enforce peace. So where do we go from here if you've got all these concerns among these countries?
Yes, I think that's right. There's supposed to be, obviously, an international stabilization force, but that force will see itself, very likely, at least most of the countries who have been shown a willingness to participate as peacekeepers, they don't want to go in and try to disarm Hamas. The only military force that can or will disarm Hamas would be the IDF, if that's what the Israeli government decides it wants to do. And I would say if President Trump says, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm not sure that either of those things necessarily happen. There are some interesting possibilities with the stabilization force. The idea of Azerbaijan sending troops, very interesting. This is a Muslim country. It's a Shia country, but it's got close relations with Israel. The Egyptians seem to want to play a role. In terms of the money that will be needed for reconstruction, either in West Gaza or East Gaza, certainly there's the Saudis and the Emiratis. The Qataris are willing. The Israelis may not want them to do so unless they're convinced that the Qataris are absolutely putting pressure on Hamas to disarm and to give up, to surrender its political power. And that's those are all very challenging, very high hurdles, I would say.
Yeah, a lot of balls up in the air, so to speak. The Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is due to visit President Trump in Washington next month. And this amid growing reports that Riyadh in particular is frustrated about being locked out of the process. They would like to take a more of a leading role, hosting summits in Riyadh, for example, not just being the checkbook, as it were, to pay for the reconstruction. What are your expectations of that visit? Do you think that the Crown Prince will have enough sway with President Trump to get him back around to his way of thinking?
Well, I think he does have quite a bit of sway. I think he wouldn't be coming if he didn't. That's a signal from President Trump that he does. I think the president is likely willing to say, we'll give you a bigger role as long as you're also going to finance that role. But tell me what it is you want to do, because I don't think all the Saudis also want to send troops in to disarm Hamas or even to patrol streets where Hamas has its terrorists who are still armed popping out of tunnels. I do think the other thing that's been on the Crown Prince's to-do list is to get a bilateral defense peace treaty with the U.S. I think that's very much on his to-do list. I'm not sure any of this is finalized by this meeting, but I think you might see a framework. You might see, you'll definitely see, I think, a joint communique, maybe some kind of memo of understanding. I think this is as much as anything to see if the Crown Prince and President Trump can be on the same page on stabilization, on Gaza, on the possibility of defense, and of course trade, which is always high among the priorities of President Trump.
Clifford Dime, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.